between, right? We can begin to doubt that, right? That God is fulfilling his purpose. But one of the points I made was, it doesn't say God fulfills my purpose for me, right? Because God fulfills his purpose for me. And my purpose, even if we've, even if we've calculated that purpose as what we think is going to be to the glory of God, we can be wrong about that. We often are wrong about that. And so God fulfills his purpose
I
for
wish I
us.
listened to that. It's arguing last Sunday with some other pastors back in Greensboro about that, These days it's about me, it's about to the point where we think I give God this, so he gives back this to me. I do this for God and he does this for me. It's like we manipulate God, we use him, it's not anymore about him. But his purpose, it's not easy.
Yeah, some of the most formidable times in our lives will happen in these in-between process. There's some interesting pictures of in-betweens in the Bible. One is what happened when Moses went up on the mountain to get the commands. What did the people do in between him leaving and him coming back? Right. I mean, they kind of went off on their own, right? I mean, you can find. I think a really fun study, if you ever want to do just a different study in the New Testament, is the ministry that Jesus had when it says when he was on the way somewhere. Right. So when Jesus was going from one place to somewhere else, something happened in between. Right. Jesus was on his way to Capernaum when this person, something happened, right? And so a lot of Jesus's ministry happened in between places. Right? We have a part of our core values here is called we welcome the interruption. And it's really founded on that picture that Jesus saw some of the most significant things happen when he was on the way somewhere. Someone would say, well, you're interrupting my plan. I'm supposed to be here at 2:00 and you interrupted my plan, on the way. And so, but lots of in-betweens. In this in-between, which I think is, maybe has a specific part to it, is this is in between a failure and a restoration. Right? And so, how many of you have ever got in a conflict argument with your wife? Ever? If you never have? Right, it happens, okay? Josh never has. But how do you feel, how does your marriage feel in between when that conflict is happening and when there's some sort of forgiveness or restoration? How does it often feel?
Tense.
Get tense. It's hard. Yeah. Distant, right? You can feel lonely. It feels that there's some brokenness.
I look at her and she doesn't look back at me.
Yeah. So how do you feel if you've done something to hurt your wife? Right? And there isn't restoration yet. And so we all feel bad, right? There's guilt, there's heaviness, so in this place, we've all experienced conflict, and we're waiting for God to restore it. And that might be 1 hour, 1 day, it might take time. But that waiting period is really hard. And I think this is where Peter is sitting, and I believe that it's in that time after failure, before restoration, that Satan can really, really, really test you. He can really speak into doubt about who God is and will he fulfill his promises, and begin to speak into some identity challenges. Oh, you say you're this person, and so I think this sifting, this testing time of Peter, for me, feels like a lot of it happened in this in-between period where we don't get a lot of even information on it. So, but I think if we just step back enough to think about it, that we could identify that, in-between's hard. Waiting's hard. It's really hard when you want to fix something that's broken, right? I'm a fixer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, I want to find the solution as fast as possible and fix it as fast as possible. My wife, in our marriage, she's much more patient. She doesn't. She needs time. I want to like fix it the moment it happens, and so waiting's hard. It's a hard place. I don't know if you ever feel that, and that could be between two great things. It could be after something difficult. You know, there's just this in between time, and that's where we find Peter. So we're going to pick up reading in John 21 because where we're going to really pick up. There's one more in between that's really important. That happens really in this time, which is in between the cross and the resurrection. Right? How did the life of the followers of Jesus feel in between after Jesus was crucified? Right? What happened? What do we know happened to them in that time?
They went back fishing and to their old profession.
Okay. There's fear, right?
Mhm.
There's some. What's that?
Confusion.
Confusion, yeah. Yeah, one of the biggest in-between times is really that Saturday, in between the cross and the resurrection. And so in between is a very prominent part here. So let's pick up in John chapter 21, because this is anywhere from, I think when I researched that, 14 to 40 days after Jesus is resurrected. So Peter doesn't have any meaningful interaction, as best I could tell in researching it, for some weeks or some period of time until we're going to pick up in John 21. So would someone read the first 3 verses for us?
After those things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, and on this wise showed he himself. There were together Simon Petrus and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Canaan in Galilee, and the son of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I go a fish. They say to him, we also go with you. They went forth and entered into the ship immediately, and that night they catch nothing.
Okay. All right. So let's just kind of break down what happens here. So they say Jesus appears again to them on the shore, and then John says, and here's how it happened. Okay? And so you've got a group of people, right? You have Peter, Thomas, Nathaniel, yeah.
2 other disciples.
Okay. So there's 5 or 6 guys. And in this moment, Peter's going to speak. John puts in here what Peter says. What's he say he's going to do?
Go fishing.
I'm going to go out to fish. Why is that why put that detail in there? Why does that matter? Right? God could have put anything he wanted in terms of these accounts, in terms of these stories, and he chose to put this particular account with these words, and he wanted us to know that Peter said, I'm going fishing. Based on what we know of Peter, what is significant about that?
He was a fisherman, and by trade, that was his
Yeah.
old profession, and something he was familiar with, that lifestyle, and he, wanted to go back to his old ways, old life.
Yeah. I think it's a picture of Peter going back to his old lifestyle.
Yes.
More than likely, how would Peter feel based on the events that have happened? If you were Peter, how do you think you would feel in this time in between, even after Jesus is resurrected? What would be some natural feelings you might have?
Failure. I just betrayed him. I let him down. And just wanted to get away. Take some time, reflect on it.
Okay, yeah.
Feel like you're done with Jesus.
Feel like you're done?
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to.
Yeah.
How many of you have ever felt like the phrase we use in the States called I blew it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way? Like, man, I just blew it.